Hey BookTube, this is Top 5 Wednesday.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
This week we're talking about thought-provoking books. Our top 5 books that kind of made us think about things, opened up our minds to a new concept or a new idea, or made us consider something that we already thought. All the aspects of that. Do we want to keep thinking about that? Do we see every side of that? That kind of thing. Well, I love this topic because I've read so many thought-provoking books throughout my life, and I really, really wanted to share some of those with you. So, you know me, it's 5-ish. So let's start at number 5, and that would be 3 books by C.S. Lewis. The first is The Last Battle, which is the last book in the Chronicles of Narnia. This book made me think about heaven and about God and what God accepts from us. It just really provoked a lot of new things about that I hadn't really considered before. The second one by C.S. Lewis is called The Great Divorce, and it really opened my eyes to thinking in a different way about heaven again, but also about kind of just the Christian life. It's a very, very interesting fictional book about that. And then lastly, The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. And there's a quote from this book that I want to read to you, and I think it will tell you why that book was so thought-provoking for me. It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at sea. We are far too easily pleased. I love that quote. I've loved that quote for years. And that is a great book. It's nonfiction. It's theological. It's dense reading, but absolutely worth it if you can get through it. Okay, number 4. 2 books kind of along the same lines. The first is Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. I listened to this on audio years and years ago, and it was narrated by the author. Sort of, he speaks with kind of a device that is, it sounds kind of robotic, the device that allows him to speak, but it was narrated completely by him. So I thought that was impressive. And he really talked about the whole idea of a unified theory of explaining the universe, like the Big Bang and time and space and matter and all of that, bringing all of the theories about that into one unified theory. Fascinating stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So that just kind of blew my mind. And the other was Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. This is just a biography of Einstein, but I've listened to it 2 or 3 times because the man was fascinating. And Isaacson goes into a very in-depth explanation of the theory of relativity in this. And I found that amazing because he puts it in layman's terms. And I just, I love that stuff. It's all real life sci-fi. It's not fiction. It's real life science. Yeah, anyway. Number 3 is Trusting God by Jerry Bridges. This book really changed me. It came to me at a time in my life when I couldn't have something that I wanted. And I kept looking at God and going, where is the divine list of requirements you have for me? And this book pretty much took the idea that bad things can happen to good people and turned it on its head for me. Completely blew me out of the water in terms of thinking about who God is and what he does and why he does it. It was amazing to me. It really changed my life on kind of a level that I was never the same. I never have been the same. For number 2 on my list, I have 2 books that I've read within the past couple of years. The first of those is Every Day by David Levithan. This really opened me up to thinking about people in a sense that both the way we view each other individually and the way that we are in a universal sense. And it's the story of A. A is a being that jumps from body to body to body, and he falls in love with a girl, and yet he becomes each of these people in his interaction with this girl. So you see this girl really having to take A for who he is, no matter what body he's in. I just thought that was so good. Just that overall idea that people are not always what they look like. Oh, so good. And the other one was Unwind by Neal Shusterman. This book freaked me out. Seriously freaked me out. It happens in a dystopian United States where the war over abortion has happened. There's been a civil war, and there has been a peace reached. And part of this peace treaty is that there are no abortions allowed, but you are allowed to have your child unwound or dismembered for body parts between the ages of 13 and 18 if for some reason you feel that you can't deal with them anymore, or they're not contributing as a positive member of society. This book could happen. It was unnerving the way that it was written. Neal Shusterman was a genius in terms of the way he presented the whole idea. It was really creepy. It was really creepy because it's possible, and that just made me kind of afraid and also on my guard for what I really think about an issue and being vocal about that and really thinking the whole thing through from every possible side. And of course, number one on my list, this isn't going to surprise anybody, I don't think, but it's the Bible. This is the Message. It's common language, and I love it. This is my textbook for life. It really is. I've read it all the way through, probably 4 or 5 times, and maybe even more than that. But I haven't read it all the way through for probably 3 or 4 years because it's like a textbook. I mean, it tends to sound the same after a while when you've read it all the way through. Having said that, I pretty much don't ever read it without taking something away from it that I haven't taken before. So this is an amazing book. It's got history, it's got war, it's got kings and princesses and queens and corruption, politics, great love, great sacrifice, poetry, love letters, letters of encouragement. At the end is this amazing fantasy sci-fi book that has so much symbolism in it that I'm not sure it could ever be completely understood. And of course, you know, millions of people have tried and yet still try. It's about hope. It's about love. It's really more about love than anything else. It's amazing. Even if you are not religious at all, it will give you food for thought. It's good stuff. So those are my top 5-ish books that were thought-provoking to me and that meant something to me, and it changed me in some way or another. I would love to know if you've read any of these, and I would love to know what yours are. I can't wait to get into some of these top 5 videos this particular week and just hear what people are thinking about books that changed them, books that opened up their minds to some new thing or made them realize that what they already believed was the right thing for them. So let's talk about those things in comments. And that's it for now for me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm